So I have this problem with books, and it relates primarily to books that I purchase with the hope that it will cover the information that I'm looking for, and unfortunately the book doesn't do that. The Dice Men is a good example of this. The Dice Men is a book written about Jackson Livingston's career at Games Workshop, but really I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the metal figures that came out while they were still there, but really after they were there. So I have a book which is about 10% of what I want and about 90% of the story leading into that. I have a similar relationship with a book called My Brother's Name is Kenny, which is about the rap group Boogie Down Productions, and really the main instigator behind Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One, whose brother Kenny Parker is the author of the book. And when I purchased the book, I really have an interest in KRS-One from the Edutainment LP, which was the first and only, the first BDP album I owned. And I owned it. It's probably one of my top 5 albums of all time. One thing that I didn't fall into intentionally when I got the question from Spencer associated with old school hip hop was naming every single old school hip hop album that was important to me. But BGP's Edutainment is in my top 3. And I go back to it periodically and listen to it because at the time, the other 2 in the top 3 would be Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet and NWA's Straight Out of Compton. They're, I think, my top 3 records of all time. Anyway, with regards to BDP, it had been given to me, you see, this is the difficulty here. I now want to throw in Ice-T's Original Gangster. I think that's a great album. So, Ghetto Boys, We Can't Be Stopped. I mean, when you start doing this, you can see the problem, really. You start doing this and you start falling into this, got to name this next album, and, that was a good album. Why don't I consider this? In the case of NWA and Public Enemy, there were 2 tapes that were given to me by my uncle when I was, I think, 12, 13 years of age. So really very important to me. Tone Loc After Dark is up there as well in terms of the early albums that I owned. But BDP's Edutainment came to me through my stepmother, who would periodically, when she went to the US, go into record stores and say, my stepson is into rap, what should he be listening to? Which was a very interesting way of getting me music. Also got me X-Clan's Exodus, which was a pretty phenomenal album at the time too. But Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One is probably one of the first battle rappers, and still battle raps, I think, to this day. I knew a fellow called Lo Pesci in Montreal, and he went up against KRS-One, and KRS-One actually dropped his mic, indicating that Lo Pesci had won the battle rap, which was quite phenomenal. But again, this used to be on YouTube, no longer is, I don't think. So, My Brother's Name is Kenny should be a book that I really am interested in, but it covers everything up until the Edutainment album, which is the album that I want to get coverage, and it is amazingly, curiously written. I think Kenny Parker is an interesting character. I now subscribe to his YouTube channel, and I get more benefit from being subscribed to his YouTube channel than I do from reading his book. But I'm going to thumb through it a little bit more. I've only thumbed through it a bit and just gotten the sense of, oh no, this is a book that's completely outside what I want to read about, which is how they put together the Edutainment LP. And also the fact that KRS-One at this time, I think, was homeless. So there are lots of questions that come from that just aren't covered by this book. But the book does cover a lot of different bits and pieces, so I can't complain too much.